Guys, before this video starts, this is just a disclaimer. I've nothing against British people or anybody, or even Thai people or anything else. This is just a rant. Take it for what it is. By the way, just to highlight this particular point, I am not British. I am Irish. I'm from the Republic of Ireland. Dahi is anam dum. Tame anasasta. Maratha. Tame inagoni itilin. That's Gaelic. It's got nothing to do with English. And listen, lads, this has got there's no animosity whatsoever against Thais or the Brits. This is just a video. Take it for what it is. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Alpha Omega occasionally. Today is Thursday, but that's kind of irrelevant to the topic. I speak about a lot of topics. In fact, I speak a lot. My mother used to say I could talk for Ireland, and I probably could, probably still can, I probably still do. This video is about the uniformity of Thailand and how insular the people are, but I'm not going to just keep it to that. It'd be wrong to offer a critique on just Thais when I'm one of the foreigners that live here, and there's plenty about me that's not perfect. But there's plenty about living in Thailand that's not perfect, but there's plenty about living in Thailand that is perfect. But there's plenty about other Farang who live here that's absolutely not perfect. I'd start with the Thais. The Thais are by default insular. They don't know much about the outside world, and not only are they insular, and this is not a criticism, this is a fact. Take for example, now this isn't necessarily to do with, it's related to being insular, but it's more to do with uniformity, this particular part of the video, or this particular nuance. Every car in Bangkok has blacked out windows, with the exception of taxis and business car and company cars. Taxis don't have blacked out windows because of security, and company cars, for the company, want to make sure they know what their employees are doing with their cars. I don't know, but private cars in Bangkok, private cars in Thailand have blacked out windows. Every private car in Bangkok has blacked out windows. I could count on one hand the amount of private cars in Bangkok that I've seen that don't have blacked out windows. Another thing, all Thais prefer to go to the beach and sit under parasols, and all Thais prefer to go swimming fully clothed because they're afraid of the sun. I mean, if you go to where I'm from, some people might prefer to have blacked out windows on their cars. Well, I think it's illegal, but some people, if they were given a choice, some would prefer not to. Some would prefer to sit under a parasol, some maybe not. Well, some would not. But here, they all do things uniformatively. Is that correct? Anyway. But you see, I'm not just having a go at the Thais who are uniformed. Some of the Farang, the majority of the Farang who come here, and I will say from the larger countries, because people from larger countries tend to bring their culture with them. I'm Irish, and yes, there's Irish pubs all over the world. I don't go to Irish pubs, by the way. Why would I do that? Number one, they're damn expensive compared to going to a Thai bar and getting a beer. And number two, I didn't travel 10,000 kilometers. Yes, kilometers. I only speak English. I don't use the imperial system. I traveled 10,000 kilometers to be here. Did I do that to immerse myself in my own culture in a warmer climate? No, I didn't. Well, I'm not going to single out. Well, I will single out. Now, this is tongue-in-cheek, lads. I love all of you, and I've nothing against any of you. But because I'm Irish, I'll single out the Brits. The Brits just come to Thailand generally and expect their own culture in a warmer climate. And I can prove it. Yes, I can prove it. How many British YouTubers do you know who concentrate their videos on anything else other than bloody patia or no, as they say? How many? That's all they seem to know. If I turn on YouTube, I am completely overwhelmed with the amount of videos from British YouTubers who only know about Nana and Sukhumvit and Pattaya and Phuket. We're in the middle of the real Thailand here. Yes, the real Thailand. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be like those guys who just don't know about anything else other than Phuket and Pattaya and Nana. I wouldn't say, I won't dismiss the fact that I could be like those guys if I came here alone and had a retirement visa and I frequented Farang establishments and I immersed myself in Western culture. But you see, I didn't. But by accident of circumstance, I married a wonderful Thai woman. And I live in a part of Bangkok that's devoid of Farang, almost completely devoid of Farang. And I can't immerse myself in my culture. Well, I can't anyway, because I'm Irish. Ireland isn't a big enough country to have a culture that would dominate the world. See, the Brits did that. The British culture, stroke American culture, which is very, very similar, dominates the world. And it's easy for a Brit to come to Thailand or anywhere else and read his British newspaper and watch his British football and drink his British lager and eat their British Sunday. Imagine Sunday roast. There's guys that have videos up in Pattaya and they say the best place in Pattaya to have fish and chips. I mean, come on. What the hell are you doing here? What are you doing? They do the same thing in Spain, by the way. But look, this is not a Brit bashing video. It's not. I have friends, or I had friends who were British. I don't know if I have anymore. I'm joking, lads. I love yous all. But it's just my experience. The Thais are insular. The Thais are uniformed. The Farang who come here are insular and uniformed. Do you know how many Farang leave comments on my videos claiming that I'm British? How could I be British? I'm Irish. I'm from the Republic of Ireland. I don't qualify for a British passport. So how could I be British? That's insular. That's ignorance. And the Thais are both insular, uniformed and ignorant. But you see, it's no fault of their own, because it's to do with the education system here. Yeah, the education system has a lot to do with the fact that the Thais are insular. I'll give you an example. I love my wife, and this is not a criticism of her. I have a friend from India, and I was having a few drinks with him the other night up in the condo, and he was heading back to Delhi. And when I finished a few drinks, we were just sitting out by the pool. I came back and my wife said, "Who are you drinking with?" And I said, "Kun India." And she said, blah, 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 whatever she said. And I said, "He's heading back to Delhi." And I said this in Thai, "Cow by Delhi, Wan Sao." He's going back to Delhi on Saturday. And she said to me, not "Where is Delhi?" She said, "What is Delhi? What is Delhi?" She hadn't a clue, or she doesn't have a clue what or where is Delhi. And that's an example. Now, she's not uneducated. She's very highly educated. But she has absolutely no idea or no concern about anything that happens outside the borders of Thailand. And that goes for, it's not just the Brits, because I just say it, the people that live in larger countries, those larger countries are self-sustainable. They have big enough economies and they tend just to look inwards. The States, a lot of people in the States don't know much about the outside world either, and that's not a criticism, but most Americans, I'd say, would agree with me. But I don't think most Brits would agree with me when I criticise them for wanting their Sunday roast and their fish and chips. Go off with your Sunday roast and your fish and chips. What the hell are you doing here? It's absolute. And talking about agents getting to do visas for them. Why don't you do it for yourself? Agents. God damn. I'm telling you, the Thais are insular and ignorant, but they're not alone. That's for sure. You might think this is a negative video. It's not a negative video. I am giving it to you from my own perspective, as usual. It's wonderful to have all of you here. It doesn't matter if you're British or German or French or New Zealand or Australia or American or Canada or Mexican or Indian or Irish or whatever. You're all very welcome. And I'll just as soon criticise myself as criticise anybody else. Because I give it to you straight. I do. I give it to you as I feel. You mightn't agree with me, but you can't help but understand that there is a huge degree of ignorance, of insularness, and of uniformity amongst the Thais. But I had to say it to balance it out. There's a huge degree of ignorance uniformity as well, because they do the same. The Farang, and I won't mention one country, well, I've already done it, but the Farang who come here act in a uniformed way. It's single-mindedness, that's all they have, that's all they know. And now I'm not saying all of them, but that's it. So there is a very, very close comparison. You can make a good close comparison between the ignorance, the insularness and the uniformity of the Thais with the ignorance, the insularness and the uniformity of the British and all of those Farang, excluding the Irish, because we don't behave that way. That's for sure. Irish pubs are not in Thailand, and Irish pubs around the world, they're not Irish pubs. These are like a franchise. They're like something like McDonald's. It's something that they think is Irish. It's as far away from being Irish as you can possibly get. Have you ever drank a good pint of Guinness in Bangkok? Absolutely not. Have you ever watched a good video from Bangkok? Absolutely yes. I'm sure you'll agree this has been a very provocative and interesting rant. And if you enjoyed this, or if you didn't enjoy it, I'm sure you let me know in the comments. Make sure if you haven't done so, click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Do all those wonderful things, and I'll bring you back another wonderful video very soon. Thanks for joining me.